Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Butterfly Blue, a deeply calming hemp jasmine tea. A gentle white tea combined with tropical fruits and butterfly blue pea flower to create an elixir that is as delicious as it is beautiful. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. All right, thank you all so much for watching again. Shout out Brothers Apothecary. Go click the link below and get you some. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hi, my name is Kannonball.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, where you're from, give us that like Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
So I DJ. I primarily do like dubstep, experimental bass, drum and bass, mostly here around Portland, Oregon.
Okay. And what got you into that initially?
So I've always been like a fan of experimental music, something that like is more bassy. Mm-hmm. And I've just been in the scene for a while. I've been going to shows for probably close to 8 years.
Okay.
And honestly, one day my friend was having a party and I brought a friend with me. Mm-hmm. She was throwing up in his house. And I went up to him because I had no clue where anything was to help her out. I was like, hey, dude, Jordan's throwing up in your house. I don't know where shit is. He's like, all right, he's DJing. Points at like these 4 buttons. This is what you press. Don't let the music stop. And that was like a little over 3 years ago now. And
oh, damn. So it's really just a trial by fire.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And then do you do anything else musically? Do you play any instruments, or is DJing kind of your main focus?
So I do have like a background in music. I played clarinet for close to 4 years.
Okay.
I also played bass for my church.
Oh, hell yeah.
For like 2.5 years.
I'm a bass player as well.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. When you got started with like instruments originally, who were some of your early influences?
Honestly, because the first instrument I really learned to play, well, actually, in elementary school, I played marimba.
Okay.
So that was really cool. That was like my introduction.
Yeah.
But like seriously, music for me, like when I had to start taking it seriously, 6th grade, I moved to a new school. I joined band, and I really wanted to play the drums, and there was already like 3 drummers at school.
Okay.
Got booted me off, but hey, there's a clarinet spot. Had no idea about anything what the clarinet was, so honestly, biggest influence at first was just like the band teacher.
Okay. Now, do you feel that having an understanding of music in general, like I assume, you learned a little bit of theory, how to read, that got to pick out, single sounds at a time kind of thing. Do you feel like that influences the way you approach DJing now? We'll get into this more a little bit later. I just want to ask you while I have it in my head.
Can you say the question again?
So do you feel like your knowledge of music helps with aspects of DJing now?
It definitely makes it easier. Just like having the basic knowledge of how music's written and like song structure helps me to read the wave files of music as it's coming across.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everything's broken up into like bars and sections. So just like a song would be.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Then we will definitely, like I said, we'll dig into that more after. I just wanted to have that while it was in my head.
Oh, yeah.
But let's knock out a couple more of the foundation questions. And this first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
First album I ever bought with my own money. What's the one with Bruno Mars? He says, "I'll catch a grenade for you."
Oh no!
The first album I ever bought with my own money from Target. It was a Bruno Mars album.
Okay, yeah, I don't know the name of the album offhand, but
the fans know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh no, I don't know I should know the name of that. Ever since Silk Sonic came out, my head just doesn't imagine Bruno Mars any other way. So that's on me.
Yes.
But hell yeah.
But yeah, that was my first album I ever bought. First album I ever received, though, I got the NWA Straight Outta Compton album from my mom.
Oh, hell yeah. Yo, shout out mom for that one.
Yes.
Wait, how old were you?
Like probably 6 or 7 years old.
Yo!
Her CD that she had, like I was in the car rapping all that song, all the words, like that whole album with my brother and my stepdad and my mom. So she's like, here you go.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah, cool mom.
Yeah.
Are your parents musical at all, or your family in any way? Or was she just like an avid listener?
They always have gone to concerts and stuff. Like my mom's snuck on to Johnny Cash's tour bus.
Okay.
And stuff like that with when he was on tour with B.B. King. But as far as they go, they were also both in band. My dad played the tuba and my mom played the trumpet.
Is that where they met?
Actually, no.
Oh, okay. Darn, that would have been a fun story, I'm sure.
My mom, she, I don't know if you're familiar where Oregon City is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of old pictures of like parades and stuff, and like her playing in parades with her high school.
Oh, hell yeah.
Walking down the road with her trumpet and stuff. Super cool.
That's awesome. All right. And then this next question, this is kind of in the same vein. What was the first live show you ever went to? That was like one you wanted to go
to. So when I was in middle school, I actually went into foster care, and I was living at a foster house in Roseburg at the time, which is about an hour south of Eugene. And I heard that Hobson was going to be playing. It was Hobson, Dizzy Wright, Jaron Benton, all of Funk Volume when they were still all hella cool. And I hitchhiked from Roseburg to Eugene.
Oh, damn.
And then showed up, was there probably like 4 p.m., went to go buy a ticket with like all the money I scrounged up. And they were sold out.
No.
Waited outside though for him to show up. He showed up and he got me in.
Hell yeah.
I was in there.
Hell yeah.
Wow Hall, Eugene, Funk Volume. That was awesome, man.
Man, that I bet that was incredible.
Yeah, crazy.
Man, I would have loved to have seen all of them together. Like that was a really special time for their sound for sure.
For sure.
For sure. And I mean, Hobson, if you ever want to be on the show, we can make that happen.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Get here.
Hell yeah. And then, what do I have for the next one? And then to round this out, because I changed this one up just a little bit for you.
Yeah.
When did you decide that like DJing was like something that you like wanted to do as like more than just kind of like oh, this is fun kind of thing?
Honestly, I'm a little selfish. I'd like to think that I have superior music taste than a lot of people.
Okay.
That's like my main reason I like to stay DJing and like wanted to pursue it more is just I wanted to shit on everybody.
You just want to pick out those quality jams and be like, ah, ha, 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 ha.
I love it when somebody turns around and sees me playing and then asks me what that song was after. Because it's like, haha, got it.
You should just have a little like one of those like skinny screens that you can have on the other side that shows
track
what's playing now.
That'd be very smart, actually.
Yeah, you have like the little Spotify ID next to it.
Yeah.
That might be something you should reach out to Spotify and be like, I have an idea.
That's an idea.
Yeah, also Spotify, if you're listening, we have an idea. All right, but now let's go ahead and let's get on into you in the present day. Let's talk about you and your craft. And we're just going to get the super easy one out of the way. How did you pick your name?
Honestly, me and my friends just spitballing, and I'm a little bigger guy. And my friend Noel, shout out Noel, I know you're gonna watch this. He just spouted off with Kannonball, and it fucking stuck, dude. We were in the car in his brother Noah's RAV4, fucking brains going off, and Kannonball, and it fucking stuck.
Oh yeah. Now, is it DJ Kannonball or is it just Kannonball?
Kannonball.
And is it spelled? I mean, it'll be on the screen later, but is it spelled normally?
It's spelled with a K.
Okay. And did you find anybody else that like had something similar, and that's why you went with the K?
Anybody else with a Kannonball names?
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was kind of wondering too. I was like, it's such a like simple word, but there's a lot of narration that can go with it. It's like it's a strong name just in the like in its design fully. I was just curious like how difficult that was.
Type in my name on Instagram, SoundCloud, first person that shows up.
Hell yeah, that's definitely what you want.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, and then let's talk about your process.
Okay.
And we're gonna kind of start at the beginning. So you get in the mood, you have a show coming up, or like, you know, something that desires the need to create a set.
Yeah.
Do you put them together ahead of time? Do you go through a pool of music? What's your process? And like, even what is the setting where the process would take place?
So the biggest thing is just always like looking for the next newest track that's going to be a banger to play out. So like just being on top of music. SoundCloud makes that really easy. Like with all of the artists that I follow on there, it gives me alerts of when they, not only when they post a new track, but when they like or repost another person's track.
Oh, okay.
And
Interesting.
Always be seeing what the other artists are listening to as well. So that really helps. But I guess like when it comes to building sets, I don't do that as much until I'm booked for a specific show. Smaller events where the pressure's not as high. It's a lot of freestyle stuff, just like whatever the mood is. Yeah. And that's another big thing is like seeing how the crowd reacts to certain stuff. Because like me personally as an artist, I don't like to push the super heavy music, but I know how to DJ it well. So if I need to, because that's what the crowd is feeling, you know, I can continue to do that. But so like 2 months ago, I got booked for this show in Eugene. For the guy's name's Mersive. And that was like big for me because it was like a super experimental artist. So I got to actually build a very like deep bass like sound that I want to push. And a lot of the other shows I've been booked for are a lot like heavier settings. So I've been having to like tailor those sets to that sound, which is fine. But
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And then when you decide like the style you're going to go for, like, do you always try to look for like new things? Do you like try to mix in stuff that you're like super familiar with? Like, how do you tailor a sound in a set?
So I mean, for a part of that too is like being a DJ and not a producer. I don't ever want to just play out one song. Yeah. What? Because that's somebody else's hard work. You know, it takes me a little bit more work to find something that can go to another song or two songs or three songs that can get played at the same time as that.
So are you always like minimum double dropping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have to. Well, and you don't have to. Yeah. But in
your approach.
Yeah. Yeah. In my head, it's just like, that's what I want to do because I'm not vulgar or I'm not Excision or whatever, you know, I'm not these artists. Yeah. So I'm not going to just downplay what their stuff, but I want to also make myself look good. So what can I do to complement that?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And then when it comes to song selection, so like, yeah, that seems to be a pretty big thing for you. It's a pretty main focus. I mean, given your announcement earlier, but what decides like what, like, are there like physical attributes to the song? Do you need like certain things, or like, do you only base it off of vibes? Like, how do you go about picking music that's going to end up in a set?
Another thing this year that like I've really noticed that's helped me is like lyrics are very powerful. So like I've been taking a lot of like old like 2000s like rap and hip hop and stuff and like finding flips and like edits of those that are made for the genre of music that I'm going to be playing. So like even if somebody doesn't know exactly what the drop's going to be, but if they know the words and they can sing along, it's going to draw them in. Yeah.
Interesting.
So like I have a couple like Rihanna songs or like stuff like that. People love to sing along, but they don't know what's coming next.
Yeah. That's a cool approach. I dig that. Hell yeah. And then I guess kind of touching on part of your answer there, how has your process changed in the last year? Like, what is it about it that's like either, you know, changed how you used to or like upgraded since then? What does that look like?
A lot of it's just like technical stuff. I feel like this year I've been working on improving like transitions and how to get from this two songs to this next two songs. So like that's just been a lot of the improvement this year. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, I guess, kind of the key focus, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then let's get technical for a moment. Let's talk gear and things like that.
Okay.
What do you use mainly to DJ on? What do you use live? Do you use controller? Do you use CDJs? Do you use software? Like, what does that generally look like?
So, like I would tell everybody, Pioneer is pretty much industry standard right now.
Yeah.
So if you're on Serato, make the change to Rekordbox. But yeah, Rekordbox is like the program I use on my computer, and that's also the program that's built into CDJs. But live shows, mainly CDJs or an XDJ, which is like a standalone controller. Those are ideally what's going to be there for a live show. And the cool thing though with Pioneer products, like everything's damn near the same. So, like you can have the very budget board, the TDJ 400 controller for at home, but like almost all those buttons are going to be available on any other of the products. It's just in different forms. Yeah, because they format a lot more similarly. And once you get into like the 1000s and things like that, the mixers are nearly identical. Right.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And then what are your thoughts on the different platforms? I mean, without, getting too preachy about it, but like, do you feel like that thought of like, oh, if you could do it on vinyl, it's a certain standard, or like, CDJs are the way to go, or like controllers are the truth? Like, what are your thoughts just on the general platforms?
I mean, electronic DJing is a lot different than like the scratching DJing and stuff in vinyl. I think those are like two different, almost two different sectors of that.
Yeah. I guess I didn't even say like, proper like controllers with like Ableton and things like that. I was still thinking even DJ controllers. Yeah. I guess in your realm that would exist too.
Yeah.
So then let me rephrase the question. What made you decide to go with like the DJ controller route versus like Ableton and like an APC?
Okay. So, I mean, I guess Ableton's going to be more like producing, right? Like,
I mean, the whole live, like the clips form is for the live performance element, essentially.
Like button pressing, like making the beats live.
Yes and no. For Ableton, its live format is, and I can't explain it the best, so nobody yell at me for this one. But it's a series of small instances of sounds that can be launched.
Okay.
So they play in looped formats, and they can be any duration of time or in single instances, but it's a series of things that can be triggered independently as well as all as a group. So you can kind of move through a song, bring back a little portion of it, predetermine that you're going to mix in like small little bits. So it's kind of like micro dosing double dropping, just on a like, you have to know what all these buttons kind of do level.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I've played around with that much. I don't think I've ever seen that. I think I've seen one person I can name, like off the top of my head, do a set through Ableton Live, but I've never messed around with any of that.
Oh yeah, after this, check out the APC.
Okay,
it's the Ableton Performance Controller.
Okay,
is technically what it stands for, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But like, that in particular is kind of designed for the format. I mean, like Akai makes stuff as well that you could use, but those are a little more dense.
Like you've seen the Push, the Ableton Push, kind of like that.
Yeah, that and like there's the Force, which is another one, which is like a standalone version of the Push, kinda. Okay. But I don't want to get too far into other gear stuff. But like I said, look into it, just because it's in the realm of electronic DJing. It's a little more prominent in certain respects because you have limitless bounds as far as like how you can mix things into other things and where you can put stuff and how easy it is to bring things back even. Okay. It's a very different method than just like, oh, let me load up this track now, let me do this track now. Yeah, so it's a very different approach, and I think it lives a little more in the realm of producers because it lets them do the stuff that they did as well as bring in other stuff, and like, their brains just work in that space a little bit.
And I'm not super familiar with Ableton like in any respect, honestly.
Ableton was what I moved to after Logic switched from 9 to 10. Okay. Because I was really stuck on 9. I just couldn't get used to 10. It felt a little too like simplified, and I bought books. I had been using it since 8, so like 8 and 9 were just meaty programs, and so I just stuck with 9 until that computer finally died and I had to get a new one, and I couldn't use Logic 9 anymore, and I didn't want to have 10, and I got I got Ableton through work because I used to work for Guitar Center.
Nice.
And so I switched over to that, started using it. And I was like, damn, this feels backwards. And then after like 5 YouTube videos, just picked it up. Ableton as a program, everything's very surface level. You don't do a lot of diving per se. And it's all very matte. The GUI is very simplistic, so it's a little less demanding for computers even. So as a production program, if you've never used any, it's going to have the same learning curve as any of them, but the accessibility to learn is a lot more prominent with Ableton than I find some other things. So that's just my 2 cents.
A little lighter load, it sounds like, on the computer.
It can be. That then you start introducing things like plugins and like however much your track count is and like the quality of the tracks you're using. But that's, if you're using a decent computer, you shouldn't have any issues in general. Yeah. But we'll talk about Ableton more off camera. I don't want to steal your time here.
No problem.
So let's go ahead and I've got like 1 or 2 questions left for you, but my thing died here. There we go. Do you have a wild show that you want to tell a story about? I feel like DJs don't get a lot of opportunities to be like, oh, you're not going to believe this. What was your wild moment?
Yes. One of the biggest shows I played this year, I opened up for I was actually direct support for Cyclops and Barely Alive, so I was like,
oh damn,
the guys before.
What was Nate the photographer for that?
Yeah.
Why not Nate? Shout out.
Yeah, Nate. Why not Nate?
Hell yeah.
He made that recap video. That shit was fucking awesome.
That I think is how he brought you to my attention.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was like, hey, I just did this thing. You should talk to this dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. That guy killed it.
Hell yeah.
But I was doing it's called a back-to-back when you do a set with another DJ. Mm-hmm. So I was doing back-to-back with he goes by Prince Grievous. He's my old roommate. His name's Donovan, really good friend of mine. Oh, yeah. Actually gonna have dinner with him tonight.
Oh, hell yeah.
But he did not know that I ordered so I take off my shirt a lot during my sets. It's just a thing I do.
Hey, I get it. I get it.
But pasties are really big in the community,
Yep.
So I got pasties made of his face, and he didn't know. And I had them on underneath my t-shirt.
Oh, that's incredible.
And there's probably like almost 1,100 people there for that show. And we made an edit with Hot in Here by Nelly with some other songs. And during Hot in Here, I go up front and take my shirt off and start waving it around, throw it in the crowd, and turn around, and boom, he just sees his
there's his face,
or his faces,
his face on my tits.
Yeah. So it was fucking awesome, dude. Watching him lose it, and then watching the crowd reaction, just because those people up front were all our friends and stuff.
Oh, so they knew.
Yeah,
they saw that, and they were like, and then they saw him, and they were like,
yeah. And
that's funny.
He still has them. We're both going to sign them and do like an Instagram giveaway. Just it's funny, when we both blow up. Somebody has.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, show-worn pasties of Grievous's face.
That's just such a fun way, especially because that's like such a big show.
Yeah.
Like in general.
Yeah, it was both like probably our biggest show.
I mean, those are 2 really good artists.
Yeah.
I was aware of that show. Like, not even because, like, Nate was going to shoot her because you were going to be, like, I was...
on your radar.
Yeah, as a person, I was like, I think I was supposed to be doing something for, I film a YouTube series on the side.
Okay.
Shout out Casey's Garage. And I think I was doing that weekend, and he wouldn't go with me. And I was like, well, I committed to this. But I tried to get him to go.
Dude, yeah, that was really fucking awesome.
Hell yeah. And then to round out this middle portion, and this is probably the densest question.
Okay.
But we talk a lot about the experiences of what we do with the way music happens and like how we got into it and such like that. But when it's just you and the music, what does it give back to you?
It keeps me busy, and that's like something that's really good for me, and it gives me a chance to like learn and just have fun. There's an endless amount of music out there,
mm-hmm.
and I'm someone who needs something to do like all the time.
Yep, idle hands and such. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
And being able to have like my little corner with my desk and my computer and my little decks and and my little setup, even though it's not nothing special, just being able to go over there and work and
mm-hmm.
I already have sets of stuff. I'll go back through old sets and improve, or see like old ideas I had of doubles and like how can I make that into a triple, and like it's just it's refreshing to me to be able to find stuff, especially when it's like other shit that I could imagine other big DJs like too. Like that stuff's like, or like hearing some of their ideas and sets and then finding out how I can make it my own.
Oh, okay.
And stuff like that is just really cool. I don't feel like everybody has the ear for it, you know?
Yeah.
Especially in a world that like right now it feels like everybody wants to be a DJ.
Yeah, that, or like I feel like a lot of people are very passive about music.
Yeah.
Like music used to be, and I, not in like a back in my day, but like music used to be like celebrated more, you know what I mean? Like when a new thing dropped, the world was like, oh my God, this new thing dropped. And now there's like new stuff every day.
We live in a world of what's next.
Yeah. and that's not to say that the oversaturation is bad in its own way. I think the opportunity for anybody to make music is a gift. I'll say it through and through. The opportunity for people to create should never be taken away. But I think in a realm where everything happens every day, like, I check my what's new on Spotify daily. They've added in that new function where you can swipe over and see what came out that day from people you follow. And that is my new lifeblood, because I'm like, I don't have to wait for my release radar or like trust my Discover Weekly. Like if it's an artist I follow there, it's going to show up if it's there today. So like, I definitely am beholden to it as well. But I think that, like I said, music used to just be like a deal. So people just make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
When it existed, because to find out about it was like, yeah.
I'm a really big Travis Scott fan,
mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people that hate on him still, but whatever. That man's one of the goats for me. And I remember just fucking hella waiting like days for Rodeo to come out, like
mm-hmm.
because I was huge on Days Before Rodeo, like Al Faro and stuff, and like I almost feel like there's not as much anticipation for music.
No.
Yeah.
Or even like presentation. Like people don't make the same big deal out of it anymore. Or like they're like, oh, you should be doing singles instead of like albums. Oh, you should be putting out, this much frequently, or like, an EP. Why even, like, I think that the need to inspire people, or not even the need to inspire, like the excitement doesn't even come from the artists in the same way anymore. It's like, if there's not a reel about it, you don't even know if they know about it or not.
Yeah. And a lot of like current albums is just like compilation stuff versus like, I used to get albums where it would tell a whole story from front to bottom, Yeah. And music's not the same in that aspect, I feel like, either. And that's just like the last 10 years.
I mean, I think just for that one respect, you definitely got to dig a little bit to find the storytellers now.
Yeah.
Like they still exist. It's just not the flavor.
Yeah.
Like people don't need that.
The trend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's not gonna grab the SEO of everything. You know what I mean? And so like I get it, but it definitely, I think it's still there. You just have to like work for it now. Like if you don't use Spotify for 2 weeks, it adjusts the algorithm to only show you the most popular stuff, and you're like, damn it, there goes like 6 months of work because I decided to go to Nepal. Yeah. Hell yeah. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on to some hypothetical questions.
Okay.
And with these ones, sky's the limits. The questions are made up and the answers are too.
Cool.
And for this first one, it's a pretty broad, it's a blanket question. You can kind of answer it however you would like. But if you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive.
Okay.
But if you could work with any one person, whom would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
If I could work with any one person alive, and how would I want to work with them? Honestly, I don't think I would have said this before this month, but after watching the Metro Boomin Symphony, he's probably one of the people I'd want to work with the most, because he's worked with the most people, but he's like made hits after hits, and like stuff I didn't even know was his is his.
Yeah.
And, like that, he has so much knowledge of just like the industry in a whole. Like he's worked with like making beats, but also like making albums with all of like not just making beats for other people, but like making his own album with having these people are featured on his shit, and like that shit's crazy. And then to see he also really understands like music and is really trying to push like good things, like that shit's really fucking cool and means a lot. Like I don't know. It's one thing to like sit behind a computer and make beats, but then like it's also one thing to know how to play a piano and like do all of this stuff, and he kind of knows it all.
Yeah.
Like that shit's crazy.
And I mean, like you touched on it really well. The fact that he kind of exists in between all the spaces. Like there are not a lot of people who like make beats, or even like people who are like actively producing or engineering, that can also say, oh yeah, I also have a bunch of albums that like people just showed up for.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like not a lot of people are putting out stuff in that way. And like you said, like he really touches on a lot of the music side of things.
Yeah, and he makes all kinds of music. He's not just specific to hip hop or rap, you know. I feel like he's made all these like R&B, like softer stuff too, and it's so pretty and awesome, dude.
Yeah. No, he is definitely, as in the world of music creation, his abilities are vast for sure. Hell yeah. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of, or like even like a local DJ, or just somebody in this area that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to work with yet, but you would like to?
Are we specific to DJing?
No, we can expand that one a little bit.
So I honestly, I never saw myself wanting to work or with my cousin necessarily, because I feel like we were very different on stuff. He goes by Nomad Blue. He's a rapper.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I want to work with him so much right now. Like he has so much cool shit that he's pushing now.
Yeah.
It's like very grungy, but like very that deep bass sound that I'm also wanting to push.
Hasn't he been doing stuff with Cyber Drips?
Cyber Drips.
Yeah. Shout out Cyber Drips.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That would
small world.
That would, yeah. Well, I mean, Nomad Blue's a pretty well-known name around here. At least it's a name. It's a name of his that I've seen a lot before.
And yeah, I'm not in the scene like that, so like I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, at least at the very least, I'm not deep into it either. I have definitely seen the name a lot of times. But that would be a cool collaboration for sure. Also, yeah, small world that you're his cousin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, and then for this next one, this one literally sky's the limits. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access, building stability, power. Like this could be the ultimate renegade if you wanted, but a guaranteed best lineup, guaranteed best show. Where would you want it to be? And it doesn't have to be a venue. It could literally be anywhere.
It'd have to be here, dude. It'd have to be here.
Like in this apartment?
No. It'd have to be here in like Portland. If it'd be like the best lineup, like the best everything's taken care of, like... You know, I'm imagining I could do that anywhere, but why would I want to do that anywhere else besides here? Like that shit be fucking insane to throw down. Like I'm very like home and friend oriented.
Okay.
These guys, DJs called Easy Baked, and even before I DJ'd, I was always talking about how I wanted to be like them, because there's this festival in Florida. It's called Okeechobee, and on the last day of the festival, they get a 4-hour set. But it's Easy Baked and Friends.
Oh,
and
damn.
It's just them and all of their friends coming up and hanging out, and they all just swapping in USBs and just dropping bangers and hanging out and having fun.
Hell yeah.
And like, if I was doing the biggest show, like anywhere, and I'm headlining, if I could do it here and then have all my friends be able to come up and just fucking play with me, that'd be the fucking coolest thing ever.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, and then to wrap up the hypothetical questions. Oh, sorry, I pushed one too soon. If you could get one more album from somebody who's they could be not alive, they could have just put out an album yesterday, it could just anybody in time, present day or in the past. Who would you want an album from?
I'd love probably another B.B. King album. I really love the blues.
Hell yeah.
Grew up with like Muddy Waters and B.B. King and all that stuff. Aretha Franklin. My grandma was very into that kind of music, and my mom got to see B.B. King before he died. My grandma seen B.B. King. I never got a chance to, and I think his music is very deep, but like people don't listen to that style of music anymore, so I feel like it's almost lost. And I think that if he were to put out something today, it would gain a lot of attention and bring maybe light back to the blues on that side of stuff.
Yeah,
I think that would be really cool.
Hell yeah.
Or like Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash is fucking awesome.
Man, Johnny Cash putting out an album now would be insane. That would be such a wild experience.
Yes.
Hell yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start wrapping this up.
Awesome.
What do you have coming up, let's say like February to April? What can we look forward in that time?
So the only thing I really have coming up, February 24th, Bossa Nova Ballroom in Portland.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be playing support for Hesh and Prosecute.
Nice.
I'm going to be going back to back with the boy Guano. That should be really fucking cool. We got a very heavy set planned for that. It's a very heavy night, so expect a lot of rhythm, doubles, triples, pretty much all night from that one. So, yeah.
Definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then for this next one, go and look straight at the camera and tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram. The Instagram handle is cannonball.mp3. The Cannonball spelled with a K. And then SoundCloud as well is Cannonball with a K.
Oh, yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
No, just big love to the family. Thanks, Jimmy, for having me on. Thanks, Nate, for plugging me in here. I think this was really fucking awesome. This is a cool experience. I've never been on a podcast before, so.
Oh, well, glad to have you on the show. We got one more question to go.
All right.
But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do. And I trust you. And again, one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary. Links below. Click that. Go get you something. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Okay.
But what is an album that you feel is more on the obscure side, but is one that you think everybody should know?
An album more on the... Honestly, anything by Primus.
Okay.
I feel like Primus is very fucking odd.
See, I like where.
Well, you're a bass.
Yeah.
So like,
but I was I mean, I feel like Primus isn't the most obscure. You know what I mean? Like at least in my opinion. But I have known Primus for a while, and I know many people whom have.
I've shown people Primus videos, like Johnny is a race car driver and stuff, and they make me turn it off. So
understandable. Okay, so then I guess it can count as obscure.
Yeah.
Okay, man. I guess Primus isn't the household name it used to be.
No.
Wild.
No, definitely not.
Wild. Hell yeah.
I honestly probably would have never known who Primus was if it wasn't for I took a socio-political history of rock and roll class in high school.
Interesting.
And that's where I learned a lot about music and like older artists and stuff.
That makes sense. Well, I mean, everybody knows Les Claypool technically because of South Park.
Right.
Yeah.
But you would nobody knows that's Primus.
I guess that's fair. Huh. I guess I never thought of that.
That was the South Park song, but
true.
I couldn't even tell you where on the credits it says. I don't even think I've ever seen it say Primus on the credits.
It's pretty much near the end.
Yeah, crazy.
I don't even know. Is it credited as Primus or Les Claypool?
We'll have to find out.
We'll have to find out. Somebody put that in the comments. But all right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Cannonball.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.